Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Amanda Shee. I'm an anesthesiologist and intensivist, and I talk about life and other things. Today, I'm really excited to share with you that I'm getting the COVID vaccine. For those of you who don't know, I was a critical care fellow in the spring of 2020 in Boston, and I worked a lot and I saw a lot of really emotional things, and this vaccine is the best holiday present that could ever come. So I thought that I would take you with me on my journey to getting vaccinated and kind of tell you about my symptoms afterwards, if there's any other things that are going on. So basically this will be like a diary of my vaccination process. So I'm really excited to take you along with me. I'm on my way to the vaccination clinic. So I just got the vaccine. I am just walking back to work now, and I'll keep you posted on how I'm feeling. This was kind of an emotional week, I'll say. So I just got my vaccine at 12:55. It is now 1:27. I sat there for about 15 minutes just to make sure that there were no adverse effects and I didn't have any issues. Our institution doesn't allow for photos or videos during the actual vaccination, so we didn't get to watch that. But I am the owner of a new card. So I'm excited, and I scheduled my second shot for 3 weeks from now, and so I will be documenting any symptoms or anything, kind of using this video as a diary to go over any issues I have and any other thoughts that come up related to this vaccination and everything going on. So I wanted to hop on here and talk to you about my symptoms after getting vaccinated yesterday. So it is currently December 22nd. It is my post-vaccination day 1. So I got my vaccination yesterday in my left arm. After I got my vaccine, I went right back to work. I did notice a couple hours afterwards, kind of feeling like I had a bit of a headache, which went away within maybe an hour or two. I came home, I was feeling maybe a little achy, but honestly, it's really hard to tell because yesterday morning I decided to do a Peloton climb ride and some arm workout. So I can kind of tell that my right arm, where I did not get the vaccine, is a bit sore. My left arm, definitely, if I push on the vaccination area, I can tell that my deltoid definitely feels sore. If I move my arm around or when I lay on that, I can tell that it feels sore. That being said, I got my flu vaccine back in October, and this is similar to that. So it really I haven't noticed a big difference between the two. The whole process, though, of signing up to get a vaccine has been interesting. So by the time this is published on my channel, some time would have already passed, but I did want to talk to you about some of the events that have happened over the course of the last week and a half or so as hospitals have been receiving shipments of the vaccine. So as of the recording of this video, the Pfizer vaccine had the emergency approval about a week prior to the Moderna vaccine. So the Moderna vaccine was just approved last week, but Pfizer had been approved the week prior. So we anticipate this week getting the Moderna vaccine at various hospitals, so that since it's been approved. So what I wanted to talk about today were some of my thoughts on equitable distribution of a scarce or limited resource, which is currently the COVID vaccine. I watched over social media, over news reports about various systems in their approach to their vaccine rollout and who would be designated to receive a vaccine and who wouldn't, et cetera, et cetera. What I found was that a lot of my friends in various hospitals were in different levels of ability to actually get the vaccine. One of the things that came up very quickly was the Stanford residents. It looked like Stanford, if you were able to read the news article, Stanford actually created an algorithm in order to figure out who would be eligible for the first wave of the 5,000 vaccines that they had received. When they used the algorithm and applied it to their staff, what they found was that the result had only seven of the house officers out of 1,500 house officers, so those are the residents at Stanford, were eligible to receive the vaccine from the first 5,000 doses. Now that is challenging in itself. I will say that there's a lot of thought that needs to go into a rollout of this magnitude, and it looks like Stanford had apologized very quickly after this snafu had happened and worked on different ways in which they could remedy the situation. But from my standpoint, as someone who has worked as a fellow in COVID ICU units that has been intubating COVID patients on the floors, I will say that I feel for the people that are at high occupational risk. So things to be considerate of is that there's going to be community spread. So people who are going to go out or use services or see their family or see others, they are at risk for community spread. But those of us that are working in the hospital every single day and seeing COVID patients, managing them from a variety of different role groups, those are the people that I feel should be at the front of the line. And in order to actually not discriminate, but in order to figure out who those people are, the obvious big role groups would include the emergency room, which is the first line of healthcare professionals and other individuals in which a patient will encounter when they come to the hospital. And when a patient comes to the hospital, frequently, the emergency room nurses, physicians, patient care advocates, anyone that works in the emergency room, they don't necessarily know what this patient's status is. Do they have COVID? Do they not have COVID? We don't know until the data comes through. So as a result of this, the emergency room is in a lot of ways the highest risk for being exposed to COVID. So that's one component of it. So I think everyone kind of agrees the emergency room is an area that should be prioritized. Another role group that I think is really important to prioritize are just the general anyone who will be taking care of COVID patients in the floors, in the ICUs, just knowing that you will be in a unit that has COVID positive patients, you may be at slightly higher risk for the exposure to the virus. So to me, again, it doesn't matter what role group you are. So if you're environmental services, custodial staff, a patient care associate, if you are a nurse, if you're a medical assistant, if you're a physician, if you're a resident, whatever role group you're in, if you will be caring for COVID positive patients, I think that puts you at a slightly higher occupational risk than someone who doesn't necessarily have that encounter. So that counterpart could be someone who's doing telemedicine completely offsite. So that is someone that may be at lower risk for exposure to the virus. Those are just some generalized thoughts and ideas. And the other kind of thing I've been thinking about is what I will say about my system's rollout is that I've included some news articles down in the description of this video that goes over the challenges that my hospital system had encountered when trying to roll out vaccination. I feel really lucky to have gotten the vaccine at this early stage. I really, really do. But my friends that I work with, the nurses, the environmental staff, the other physicians that are based on comorbid disease or on age are at higher risk than I am. Those are people that should be protected like me. And so that's where I felt a little guilty. But on the flip side, getting the vaccine is a beacon of light. It's a beacon of hope that maybe this nightmare will come to an end. What I'll say is, when I was going through the whole process of trying to sign up, I can't tell you how many times I cried. I cried because I felt so helpless. There seemed to be a carrot dangling saying, here's your opportunity to maybe feel a little bit more protected, to feel like when we go into battle, that we're not just wearing our PPE armor, but that maybe we could go in with an extra layer of defense. Maybe we could go in with a barricade instead of just the armor that we're carrying. And that's how I see the vaccine for those of us that are frontline, working in hospitals, working in clinics, seeing COVID patients every single day. And so I was very emotional thinking about this incredible hope that has arrived, but then feeling like I may not be able to get it. The thought of not being able to be a part of one of the first waves that received the vaccine was challenging for me. And it's so important for us to be constantly thinking about how to delegate a scarce resource, but in a fair and equitable way. We'll plan to keep recording a bit of a daily diary of how I'm feeling after my vaccination and kind of any other thoughts that come to mind. So stay tuned. So now it is December 23rd. It is about the afternoon, so it's my post-vaccination day 2. I woke up, I kind of felt my arm. It's sore, but it's getting better with every day. But otherwise, I don't have any symptoms or other kinds of post-vaccination issues. I filled out my symptom tracker, so the hospital itself, the organization is sending emails to follow up to make sure about symptoms, as well as the CDC has its own symptom tracker that I've signed up for so that I can continue to provide post-vaccination data. I'm getting ready to go in for a night shift today in the ICU, and while we all have to maintain our precautions, and I know that it's going to be a little bit of time before I have immunity to the virus, I definitely feel like there is some more hope moving forward, and hopefully we can continue to get everyone vaccinated in a fair and equitable manner. I'll be back tomorrow post-call, so I may look a little more tired. That would be from my shift, probably not from the vaccine, and we will go from there. It is now December 24th. It is the afternoon, and I am post-vaccine day 3. I would say that I'm pretty much back to normal. I can tell that there's a very, very tiny, mild amount of soreness around the injection site, but I'm being pretty aggressive pushing on my deltoid right now. And honestly, it might have been from my Peloton workout a little more, because I'm feeling like I have a little bit of soreness on the other side as well. So time to blame my workout rather than vaccination for that. Otherwise, I am post-call and feeling pretty great. I think since I have documented and I have brought you guys with me in terms of from vaccination all the way till my 3rd day out, and I'm feeling totally normal,
I'd say that this is the completion of this little like vaccine diary series. So I hope that this was helpful. I'd love to hear if you have specific questions for me down in the comments, or if you have any other concerns about proceeding with vaccination when it becomes available to you. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are, if this was a helpful diary for you. And otherwise, I will see you next time for the next video. Bye guys.